Right, so basically what I want to do today is talk about the filtration, the biological filtration that happens inside our reef tanks. So basically, the rock in which we put our corals on and make the tank look like a reef tank is actually essentially our biological filtration. So what you want is you want a really porous reef rock that is going to enable the nitrifying bacteria to actually seed, live within it. I'm not going to go too much into it, but basically the bacteria that lives on these rocks, that's on our hands, it develops in the water. It feeds off of like the fish waste, the pee, the poo, everything that the fish excretes from its gills, and it makes it non-toxic. The bacteria that lives on this rock makes it non-toxic for the fish and essentially cleans your water. And what we used to do years ago is we'd actually take a small amount of rock actually from the ocean, some actual reef rock which consists of like dead coral skeleton, and that would have the bacteria already on it, and you would use that would seed your tank, and that's what we would do. But because I want to try and keep this tank as sort of eco-friendly as possible, so something that's not necessarily taking away, taking out rock out from the ocean, what I'm doing is I'm going to be using Eco Reef, which is a man-made rock that does exactly the same thing, and the beauty of it is you can set it up dry, so you can kind of like aquascape the tank beforehand, make it look as pretty as you want while it's dry, which is a lot easier to work with, because if you're using like a real rock from the ocean, it's actually got to stay wet, so you're sort of using it underwater, which is a complete pain in the bum. There's so many different types, but I really like the branching forms of rock. I think it looks really, really pretty, and I've found with certain other types it's very dense, and I've been really wanting to get my hands on some of this because I really like the shapes, the colour of it. It's already purple, and it's so light. So I've got this box here, which is actually box E, which when you look on the back here, they've got A, B, C, D, E and F, and I've gone for E, which is the branching, well, has more of the branching types in it. And I've been having a little look, and I think there's so many amazing different shapes and formats, and I'm probably not even going to use the whole amount, but because it's so light, you can actually use a lot more of, you can use just the branching ones because it's so porous. So let's have a little look at what we've got. Okay, so what I've done is I've just laid out all the rock on my bed here on a blanket so that I can sort of get a little idea of what I want to do and have a little play around inside the tank. So here's the tank, here's the footprint of it. It's really nice, there's no brace or anything, so I'm going to be able to scape away, make sure that it's all nice and level again, and yeah, going to crack on, have a little mooch around, see what we can create. Right, hello. I think you can just about see everything. Got a nice bit of glare going on there. So over here I've got all of my rocks and that, so I'm just going to keep moving them in. I'm going to have a little move around and then I'll show you what I've done. I'm going to wait till the very last moment to get on with my, where is it, my little epoxy stuff. So yeah, let's have a look at what we can create. Okay, so you can kind of see that you can get, like, they actually slot into each other quite nicely. And you can get this kind of like, so you've got some ledges, but then you've got a bit of height. Which makes it sit really nicely. And then you've actually got a little bit of room underneath as well. I don't know, I'm going to keep going. And you could maybe even lay some of these down. Obviously you want to be careful not to drop anything inside the tank. I've got to say I'm totally in love with this rock. It seems to just go together just so well. So I've made like a cave here. So I've got my two bits that are sort of sprawling out almost like the roots of a tree coming down, then with like another ledge on the top. What's really cool is these smaller bits I've been able to just put on the top to create like another little ledge, and then another little should we call it another little nubbin here to put some coral on. Yeah, so I've got to say I'm absolutely well happy with the way this has come out. and they seem to just slot into each other really well. So you've got lots of overhangs, even these other little bits here, I've been able to put them in, so I've actually used the whole box, which I'm really chuffed with. So I've got to say, I'm absolutely in love with it at the moment. It's yeah, it's all sitting really well. It's a shame I've got a bit of glare on here. So that's from the top. And there you go. So I've got enough room that nothing's touching the glass. I can fit my hand there to clean, which is important. Got lots of ledges. It's all actually really stable. I've got to say, it sort of slots in together really well. I think because it's so porous, it's very sort of grippy, so it tends to grip the rock next to it, which when if you've ever worked with wet live rock, oh my goodness, it slips around everywhere. So I think there's only a couple of places I'm going to need some of the stuff to hold it, the two-part. Like when I sort of wobble it, I don't want to shake it too much just in case something falls, but it feels pretty sturdy. I'd be happy to sort of push around with it. So I might just pop a little bit of the two-part just to see if I can stabilise a little bit, but I don't want it to... I mean, the thing with the two-part is it's great, but I don't want it to look like there's like bits of chewing gum all over it, because it looks so natural at the moment that I think having big purple bits of gum holding it together might ruin the aesthetics. Alright, so I've decided to use just a little bit of this. So just open it and you take equal parts of this. It's like Play-Doh. Get off my counter there. And so you pop the two bits together and you just squidge them around until they become one. And then you can use this kind of Play-Doh epoxy to fix your rocks together, and then it can harden up. It can actually be used underwater as well, so you can fix corals, you can make scapes that you wouldn't necessarily, that defy gravity, because it gives a bit of hold, and it's completely reef safe to use. So you just keep moulding it and moulding it and moulding it until both colours become like mixed together, and then you can use that, and it should be able to stabilise so that you don't have anything falling over, no tsunamis happening in your reef tank, or like cave-ins or anything like that if you've got any little critters that are digging in the sand. And like I said, I want to have some that are sand dwellers, so it's probably best that I make sure that it's as stable can be. So once it's become like one colour, then it's ready to go. So you see what I've done there is I've made like a little flat pancake, like a flat sausage, and I just literally attach the two, and then with my thumb and forefinger I can just squidge them together. So it's just like building with Play-Doh. There you go. See what I've done is I've just got that to join together, so that should just stop it from rocking around. So as it sets, it will become rock solid and they won't be able to separate. And actually it doesn't look too bad, but you see, like, you don't want to put massive great big bits, otherwise it can look a bit like there's bubble gum in your tank. So from the front, actually you can actually see it there better, but that will soon get coralline algae over it, but it's better to be safe than sorry at this stage, I think. And you can see I've got a couple more joins there that are just going to hold it, and when that dries that'll be like a rock, and this one here, well, it is a rock attached to a rock, so it just means that there's nowhere for them to sort of push against or slip away from each other, so it just gives you a bit more peace of mind. Alright, so now it's time to wash the sand, and I find the best way to do this, because this is a really fine sand, is to get yourself a pillowcase, cheap as chips, a value pillowcase from Tesco's. It was like £1.70 for two, and then you can pop this in here and then just rinse it, and that way you're not going to clog up anything or annoy anybody. I find if you put it in a bucket and then let it overflow, obviously you end up losing some sand down the drain, or if you're doing it outside the hose pipe goes everywhere. So it's just a bit of an easier way to do it. There you go, you've got the nice. It's actually not as fine as I thought it was going to be, but I think that would be better because that will stop it from blowing around. Actually feels quite nice. Feels like I'm on a beach somewhere. There you go. So I'm just gonna fill up this pillow case. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. There we go. Ooh. Try and get that all in there. There we go. We get 2 bags in one pillowcase. So there we go, and then you can just use it as a filter basically, and then it will just get rid of any of the finer particles. Right, so as you can see, I'm doing this in the in the bath with the shower hose because it's the closest room to my bedroom where the tank's going to be. So you can literally just let this fill up. Let's see if we can just get this right in there. There we go. And that way I'm not going to block anything down the drain. Oh, there we go. And there you go, you can see some of this stuff running out. There you go, so when it all runs clear, you're good to go. Give it as good a rinse as possible, and then I'm going to use the poly box from the rock so that it doesn't drip everywhere, because you don't want that. Yeah, look, you can get all this, dig right in there, get rid of all that sediment out, because you don't want any of that, because that will cause unwanted issues. There you go, look, you can really see that's coming out now. So I'm just going to give that a really good good rinse. Okay, so now you've given it a rinsing of a lifetime, so it's like a big tea bag that is, just let it drain out, and then you can pop it in the poly box that the rock came in, and now it's time to go in the tank. Alright, so now I've got my washed sand, I've got my little pint jug, and I can literally just dump it all in. Try and start at the back, you want to try and get it nice and even. So there we go, I'm just popping in the sand, and now's the time, and I wish I'd done this with my eel, is I've actually got a little bit of extra pipe here, and I'm going to put this underneath the sand, and I'm going to place it towards the front because I want to make a little cave that's going to be more appealing for maybe some little cave dwellers to go in and out, so I want to keep sort of like a little opening. So what I want to do is place this in here and then kind of cover it in sand so there's only a small opening, and yeah, hopefully I can guide some little critters into it, and it'll be at the front of the tank so that I'll actually be able to see them, because normally, as we all know, what happens is they all go to the back and then you won't ever see them. So yeah, this is my plan. Whether or not it works it remains to be seen. So yeah, so I'm just going to keep adding the sand. So there we go, sand is in. So it's not as deep as I thought it was going to be, but it's still deep enough. I mean, it's still, mind you, once the water's in, it's probably going to lower down a little bit anyway, and it's going to look a lot better once all the water's in. But there's my little cave all ready for whoever's going to go in, maybe a pistol, shrimp, goby pair or something. Hopefully I'll be able to guide them into it. But yeah, looking good. So now it's time to add water. Hey, alright guys, that's it for today's episode. So we've got our rock, we've got our sand in. So in the next episode we're going to be filling her up with water. Stay tuned.